Good morning, Malacanang Press Corps. Welcome sa regular press briefing ni Presidential Spokesperson Harry Roque. Good morning, sir.
Magandang umaga, Pilipinas, and good morning to the ladies and gentlemen of the Malacanang Press Corps. First, in preparation for the third State of the Nation address of President Duterte, the Office of the Cabinet Secretary and the Presidential Communication Operations Office are partnering to bring a series of forum this July at the PICC featuring the 6 cabinet clusters to discuss the respective policies, programs, and projects implemented during the Duterte administration's second year and what they mean for the future of every Filipino. No? The month-long pre-SONA 2018 campaign is called Tatak ng Pagbabago. The first forum, entitled Tatak ng Pag-Unlad, will be on July 6, 2018 and will feature the economic cluster and infrastructure cluster. No less than the chairpersons of the 3 clusters, namely Secretaries Dominguez and Villar, will present accomplishments and plans for the respective clusters. The second forum, entitled Tatak ng Malasakit at Pagkakaisa, will be on July 11 and will feature the participatory governance headed by Secretary Eduardo Año and the Human Development and Poverty Reduction cluster headed by Acting Secretary Virginia N. Orogo of the DSWD. And last but not the least, Tatak ng Katatagan on July 18 will feature the Climate Change Adaptation and Mitigation National Disaster Risk Resiliency Cluster with Secretary Roy Simatu and the Security, Justice, and Peace Cluster with Secretary Delphine Lorenzana. Each forum will include an open forum with select secretaries of each cluster and will be live streamed in the Facebook pages of the Presidential Communications Operation Office and its attached agencies such as PTV and Radio Pilipinas. No? We're pleased to announce that Calibo International Airport started its rehabilitation yesterday, July 2. The rehabilitation includes refurbishment of existing terminals, repainting of international terminal interiors, airport landside beautification and landscaping, rewiring of electrical and air conditioning systems, and enhancement of railings and barricades. Boracay's closure and the lesser number of tourists will allow CAAP to maximize the period to fast-track the rehabilitation of Calibo International Airport. Good news, the Philippines' net international investment position improved for the first quarter of 2018. According to the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, the country's external liability position improved by 21.3%, equivalent to a decline of 34.1 billion as of end March 2018 from the 43.4 billion US dollars as of end December 2017. Meanwhile, the country's total financial assets in the same period increased to $171.7 billion from the previous total of $170.6 billion. With a decrease in the amount of our country's external financial liabilities and an increase in assets, we expect to bring in more investors to fuel economic growth and create more jobs for our people. Questions from the Malacanang Press Corps?
MPC questions? Raymond Tinasa.
Sir, I understand you have a clarification to the briefing yesterday on what you have said about the connivance of the Catholic Church, allegedly, or some parts or some members therein, versus what you actually said.
Well, I think it's important to quote what I said. I said some. I did not say all. And of course, what has appeared in some news reports, including social media, is it's as if I said the church is conniving, which is a big world of a difference between some members of the church or elements of the church who did not support the president and who supported someone else. It is not impossible for the some to, in fact, work with the CPP-NPA in their desire to overthrow the Duterte administration. So it is not as if I was indicting the entire institution of the church. Some elements within.
Sige sir, let's just walk through siguro. Yung question was, kumusta na po yung planned dialogue ng church at saka government kasi patuloy pa rin ang patutsada ng mga pari. Kahapon lamang, meaning one priest, mayroon daw sa Cubao, the worst president daw si Rodrigo Duterte. And you said, well, alam nyo naman talaga yung patutsada ng simbahan, and you did not say some members of the simbahan. Yung nagsimula naman iyong noong natalo yung kandidato nila noong election.
So, well, I confirm that this Monday, July 9, Archbishop Valles will be meeting with the President here in Malacanang. So that's the update on the dialogue. No? Although the President highlighted that this is really not unusual because they have had open communication lines with Archbishop Valles since he became President.
And also, just for the record, because I am a Catholic, the Catholic Church does not, in one way or the other, endorse any singular candidate in any of the elections. And also, an opinion of a single bishop or a priest does not reflect the entire opinion or reflection of archdiocese or the entire church.
That's why I felt that I should highlight that I did not generalize. Some may see it as a very minor clarification, but I was very clear, some, not the institution itself.
Yes, sir. So that's what I am trying to say also, that with due respect, at least we should also be very careful on generalizing or avoiding generalizing the entire Catholic Church.
I did not generalize. That's why I felt strongly that I had to clarify the point. I was very careful in my language. I can assure you, after 8 months with the Malacanang Press Corps, I can be very careful with the language.
Yes, sir. That's why in the first utterance, kasi the first sentence you met is the simbahan. So it was, if the reporter or the listener only heard your first utterance, we cannot blame him or her that he would take your statement on the context that you are referring to the whole church.
That's
the
fine,
point.
but the transcript will bear me out that my subsequent declarations, I was careful. Some.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, question, MPC? Joseph Morong?
Sir, may mga efforts no, to reach out to the church from the government. But why is there still a parang consistent and persistent comment by the President, at least on the Roman Catholics, no? Kasi specified naman which groups, di ba? So parang specifically to the Roman Catholics. Why is there such a thing, persistent, consistent comment?
Well, I think it's the same thing could be said for some high-ranking leaders of the church. Prior to yesterday's statement, you heard what Manila Auxiliary Bishop Pabilio said about the president and the fact that God did not ordain him to be president. No? So I think it's always bilateral. No? If there's going to be cessation of hostile language, I think it has to be from both institutions. Always, please take note, no, that again, I highlight that for 2 years it was mostly some clergymen attacking the president. President initially taking it in stride until he openly spoke against a specific dogma of the Catholic Church. So I think it's not just the president who should be told that as we hold this dialogue that perhaps there should be ceasefire. It should also be told to some leading church leaders as well.
Sir, yung pong mga dogma that he is questioning, no? How should we take it?
That's his personal conviction, and that's why I don't want to even delve into these dogmas. No?
Thank you.
Question, Ina?
Hi, sir. Sir, you talked about the possible cessation of tirades from both sides, but recently the president did say that he's gonna sort of keep silent
Yes.
regarding his yung mga sinasabi
Yes.
nga niya tungkol sa simbahan. So, are you now saying that it won't actually happen until he also stops hearing anything from the church?
No, I'm just saying take what he says literally. But remember, the president is also human. He will react when he says or when he reads something again prominently reported in the media. No?
So,
It's the same thing, his relationship with media. No? I mean, he will not interfere. He will let institutions work. He will respect the freedoms. But it's always a conversation.
so when he said the other day that he's gonna remain silent, hindi na po bale. It's not actually
No,
the case.
I'm not in a position to alter what the president says. All I'm saying is the remarks came at the heels again of scathing remarks coming from the Manila Auxiliary Bishop.
Thank you.
Okay, follow-up. Henry Uri.
For clarification, Secretary, what exactly you want to tell to the Catholic Church or some members of different churches in the Philippines?
I think it's that we both serve the same people. We should, in fact, be together in this interests and that closer relations between two institutions will benefit the people.
Sa pagtuligsa nila or sa mga komento nila sa ating Pangulo, meron ba kayong gustong partikular na sabihin sa kanila?
Pag nagtalugsa po sila, asahan nila, sasagot ang presidente. Ganun lang po yun. No? Hindi naman po pwede na sitting duck ang presidente.
Thank you.
Follow-up, Pia Gutierrez.
Sir, as far as I remember dun sa mga criticisms or mga statements ng Catholic Church, it is not directed to the personality of the President, but to his policies or the controversial policies of the administration. So all of this, is this an effort to maybe silence the Church on their criticisms on the controversial policies of the
No, not at all.
administration?
They can talk, but the president will also talk back. Do not expect the president to be a sitting down. Hindi naman magpapakamartir yung ating presidente. Sige, wakwakan niyo ako ng wakwakan, but I will not respond back. No? In the same way that he takes all criticisms from the media, do not take it away from him when he lashes out at some members of the media as well. No? So it's really a dialogue. It's a two-way street.
So the end goal of the dialogue, sir, is for both sides to cease their tirades. Tama po?
No, as I already said, for both sides to recognize that they're serving the same people and constituency.
And also, sir, back on your comments kahapon, sir, and also the continuing yung mga pronouncements ni President Duterte on what he sees on his take on Catholic or Christian dogma, don't you think that this will be counterproductive since the government is reaching out to the Catholic Church for a dialogue? Itong mga statements na to, don't you think it will affect the result of the dialogue?
Tell also the auxiliary bishop that perhaps he should also not have said what he said after we had announced that there was already a dialogue. That's what I'm emphasizing. It's a two-way street.
Last na lang, sir. Can we get more details on your statements yesterday? Sino po yung candidate na sinuportahan ng ilang pong mga miyembro ng Catholic Church? And ito pong mga miyembro ng Catholic Church, is this a number or ilan namang mga personalidad within the Catholic Church which prompted you to make that statement?
I think people know that. I don't have to verbalize it. If you don't, I'm sorry. But I don't really have to address that. Okay?
Questions?
Next question, please.
Joseph Morong.
Sir, that's precisely maybe the issue, no? I mean, the government is accusing without...
It's not an accusation.
Okay. What is it, sir?
There are elements of the Catholic Church that will never accept the president for who he is.
The
Oh,
part
what's
with
wrong with that?
The connivance.
It's been established. The CPP-NPA has been here for what? How many years already? 60 years? Hindi pa ba tayo familiar with the strategy, which is to build a national democratic front?
The
There
CPP
will be efforts on the part of CPP-NPA to penetrate all sectors of society. That's not new, Joseph.
That's right. How about the connivance with the church?
That's
What's the
not new
basis?
too. They will attempt to penetrate all institutions, including the church.
And would you be
It's
able
60
to...
years of experience with the CPP-NPA. We know that.
That's right. But if you said that some of the members of the church are conniving, you don't see it fit to maybe... Well, that was the dare of Bishop Pabilio yesterday. Name names.
No. My purpose is to alert all institutions now that there's no peace talks ongoing. Expect the CPP-NPA to go back to its old ways. No? There'll be more of this noise, not just coming from CPP-NPA, but also from forces that have embedded themselves in different societies. So it's a warning to everyone. We're back to where we were in the past. Now that apparently we have set aside peace talks for the time being. No? Naku naman, hindi na po bago yan. Okay? I don't have to clarify that point any further.
Cool.
Okay, other issue? Cristina Vendana to be followed by Raymond Tinasa.
Sir, doon sa statement ni President yesterday kay Mayor Halili, does he have information, really intelligence information that the mayor is really linked to the illegal drug trade?
I will quote from the translation of what the president said, suspicion. So it's a suspicion.
was this morning the mayor's office asked, they said they were sad that the president made those pronouncements, and sana they were asking for some degree though of civility on the part of the president.
Well, I'm sure that's a matter that the president will read about, but I can only quote what he said. It's a suspicion.
So even if it's a suspicion, he could make yung ganyan na
He
allegations.
did. I can't deny he did. It's
Oh.
there. But I'm saying that he qualified it as a suspicion.
Follow up? Rosalie Cos. I'm sorry. Raymond Tenasa.
So, pero yung ganong pronouncement, even suspicion, hindi ba in one way or the other maka-apekto sa investigation and even to the public perception? Kasi parang yung tao ngayon, ano yan, drug lord o drug protector pala yan, kaya pinatay. So parang hindi ba on the negative side, nagbigay ng ganong perception ang Pangulo?
Tingin ko po, hindi. Dahil sinabi nga niya, suspecha lang. Habang hindi pa nag-iimbestigasyon. Patang pag-aangko ng gobyerno, magkakaroon ng malawakang investigasyon, malalimang investigasyon, nang malaman kung sino talagang sa likod sa pagpatay dito kay Mayor Halili.
Thank you, sir.
Rosalie Cos? Okay. Other issue? Follow up? Henry Uri.
Yeah, Secretary, may plano bang bumisita si Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte sa lamay ni Mayor Halili?
Wala po akong alam. Wala po sa schedule at hindi po namin napag-usapan pa.
Okay.
Tina.
Sir, good morning. Sir, I think it was Congressman Rufy Biason who mentioned yesterday that the killing of Halili allegedly by a sniper is highly sophisticated. He was killed from afar dun sa across may mga grass nakatago. At very rare o kakaunti lang ang may ganitong modus operandi. Are we not that alarmed that there seems to be a culture of impunity regarding how brazen the mayor was killed?
Well, that's why the official statement of the palace, despite the suspicion of the president, is that of course we are alarmed because killings of this nature should not be happening. No? I do not know how to react to the statement of Congressman Biazon, but what we are alarmed at is the fact that it was in broad daylight and in such a public manner. No? So yes, we share the alarm.
Sir,
And that's why we have promised that we will leave no stones unturned in the investigation.
Sir, pending investigation, sir, parang kakaunti lang ng incidents of murder or killing like this ang using through sniper shot. Ang may access po sa high-powered firearms, very limited rin under the AFEU, Firearms and Explosives Law. Kung hindi po military man or
Naku,
police,
sa
how
akin po,
would you...
Napaka-speculative niyan. Hayaan natin umusad ang investigasyon. But I'm not going to speculate.
So there is no culture of impunity, sir, in this administration.
Well, what we can assure you is that we are discharging the state obligation for every murder. We will investigate and accord the victims adequate domestic remedy.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Other issue?
Welcome to our new correspondent from the Tribune. Welcome. Upo ka na dito. Don't be shy. Veterano ka na naman no? Kilala mo na lahat sila, no?
Sir, good morning. It may not be related to the affairs of the palace, but can we just have your insight on the Gilas issue last night? But kasi sir, it's a reflection of the country, how they reacted to the situation.
Well, let's just say that we found the whole incident unfortunate. It was, of course, the height of being unsportsmanlike, but at the same time, we appreciate that it's something that we have to be sorry about because it should never have happened. But all we're saying is we empathize somehow with the feelings of our fellow Filipinos, no? Which is not to justify their conduct. What should have happened was as soon as Mr. Kicker did that foul, what do you call that? Foul elbow, then the game should have stopped. and there should have been a decision declaring him to have committed a foul act, and there should have been a foul shot instead, no? But it continued. I don't know why it was allowed to continue. We do not justify the conduct of our Filipino players. All we're saying is, well, it was a regretful incident, no? And it should not happen. And in the 52 years I've spent in this existence, that's the worst I've seen, no? At least here in the Philippines. We see that in other countries, but really not in the Philippines.
Does that mean to say that the Malacanang or the government is apologetic to the...
Well, it should never have happened. That's why it's called sports. But at the same time, we're saying we empathize that they have to act as a team, which will not justify their conduct. I think we would have to say it was a truly regretful incident.
Should an apology be in order coming from the team?
I think they have apologized. I've seen some apologies in the news earlier. The team coach has apologized. Some members have apologized. I don't know if all of them have, but in any case, I'm sure FIBA will meet out the sanctions, and I hope that our players, as true sportsmen, will honor whatever the decision of FIBA will be graciously.
Last, sir. How do you think can we bounce back from this unfortunate incident?
Have better referees who will actually intervene when there's a foul move made by one of the players. I'm surprised it was allowed to continue, given that it was. I know it was a fast-paced game, but the whistle should have been blown and the game should have been stopped from the very first instance that there was a foul committed.
Okay, question, MPC? No more? Okay, Joseph Morong.
So regarding our maritime schools, no? Sabi daw po ni Congressman Bertiz, and our maritime schools aren't compliant with the international standards and may be barred by the EU. What is the government's plan?
I'm not sure what Congressman Bertiz is referring to, but we are supplying close to a majority of seamen worldwide. If he's saying that there's new requirements that we need to comply, well, we better comply because so many lives are at stake in terms of livelihood, no? But I will verify with Congressman Bertiz what he was referring to. I'm having lunch with him on Thursday. So,
Okay, Deo, you have a question? Deo de Guzman.
Teo, hindi ka
Yes,
mukhang
sir.
congressman ngayon.
Hindi Monday ngayon, sir.
Hindi, mukha kang FIBA player o FIBA coach.
Hindi naman po makipagsuntukan. Anyway, sir, natapos na po yung consultative committee ng sa federalism. Napirmahan na daw po nila and it will be submitted to the president. Paano po ba ang magiging proseso nun? Ito po ba ibibigay ng executive sa Congress para sa recommendation? Ano pong magiging proseso nun, sir?
I think the president, as chairman of PDP Laban, the dominant party in the House, will transmit it to his party mates. And he will encourage his party mates to study it very closely and, if possible, to pattern the proposed revisions after what the Commission has recommended. But ultimately, of course, it is members of Congress who will approve whether or not they will adopt the proposed revisions. In that sense, we can only persuade the party mates of the president, but we recognize that the decision ultimately will lie in the individual members of the House of Representatives and the Senate.
Pero sa tingin niyo po, gano'n pong magiging kabigat yung resulta ng pag-aaral ng consultative committee doon sa ibibigay ng presidente sa Congress?
We have a supermajority in the House. I think at least in the House, it will be very persuasive. No? We're hoping to be equally persuasive in the Senate.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay na? MPC, no more questions? Okay, thank you.
See you on Thursday.
Thank you,
Thank
Presidential
you.
Spokesperson Harry Roque. Thank you, Malacanang Press Corps. Back to our main studio sa Radyo Pilipinas and People's Television Network.